Mint, basically, is what I'm saying. Anybody know who won? Yeah, who cares?
Так, какие у нас планы есть на жизнь? Выиграл, то и не выиграл. Я вообще не знаю. Какая-то сезончик, понятно. У нас есть
Turn sharp left.
Your latest speed trap data is coming through. Looks like, yep, you're pretty fast, aren't you? Let's try some more, yeah?
Конечно. Рад. Зона. Подозрительно небольшой. Еще вентик.
Like a good pair of headphones.
meters, turn right. Turn right. In 200 meters, turn right. Turn right. In 400 meters, turn left. Turn left. Meters. Turn left. Turn left.
О, у меня же есть крутилка. А, нет, нет. Ну как именно чептер? Первый уже надо было. Вот, блин, обидно. Я надеюсь.
Great to see you. We're shooting a documentary about car culture in the UK, and I need a second driver. You've made a name for yourself, and it would be great to have you aboard. It's simple. You drive, I tell the story. Let's do it. From Aston Martin to McLaren and Bentley, Great Britain is home to over a century of automotive excellence. I'm Rebecca Dawson. Welcome to British Racing Green, a documentary celebrating that history.
Алиса? Алиса? 112 километров в час. Это сколько в милях в час?
The Vantage featured side-draft carburetors and a refined camshaft profile, capable of a blistering top speed of 100.
Алиса, сколько километров в 165 милях?
62 miles an hour
Куда?
in 1964. The clean lines of Superleggera's bodywork, reclining seats and wool carpets created a car that was luxurious as well as fast. This car would form the basis for the DB range, with later cars improving on the design in many ways. But none would ever achieve the sheer iconic perfection
Что у нас DB5?
of the Vantage.
In 200 meters, turn left. Turn left.
For all of its beauty and engineering perfection, only 65 of these beautiful machines would ever be built. If you own one, you own a piece of British history.
Всего 65 машин?
In 200 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
The silver DB5 would be immortalized in half a century of cinema. The classic Aston Martin. But in 2016, a new DB was unveiled, heralding the dawn of Aston Martin's second century. The DB11 is the first production turbocharged Aston Martin. But is it a worthy successor to that legacy?
Okay.
The short answer is yes. It's bold, responsive, and agile, with perhaps the best GT chassis in the world. And listen to it.
Справляется машина. Капец.
Able to hit 60 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds, the DB11's 5.2-litre twin-turbo V12 boasts a top speed of over 200 miles an hour. The DB11 is not the fastest car in the world, but then it's not trying to be.
Okay.
It's sophisticated, effortless luxury. It's an Aston Martin. The DB11's front strakes channel air to create a virtual spoiler, providing downforce without compromising the car's clean lines. Brilliant. Most importantly, I think, the DB11 proves that Aston Martin is ready for another century of beautiful cars. And I can't wait.
Ну, что я могу сказать? Нет, Aston Martin, что они очень красивые и не входят в повороты.
Beautiful as they are, Aston Martins are only one of many cars made in the United Kingdom. Let's see what else is out there.
Ну, я как бы не слышал особо. Опа. 50 уровня. Пацаны, пацанчик.
This is shaping up nicely. Time for a change of pace, though. At least at first. The next segment is about Land Rover, and we'll be starting out with the Type 3.
Блин, выбор музыки, конечно, всегда прекрасный. Займет много времени.
Land Rover, the British sports utility vehicle. But before that, they were actual utility vehicles. Solid, tough trucks, unstoppable over almost any terrain.
In 400 meters, turn left.
The Land Rover Type 3 marks the point where that shift begins. And we'll be looking at what that meant.
Recalculating route.
Land Rovers have taken
Так, куда мы прям едем, да?
on almost every task imaginable. They've been generators, tractors and ambulances. They've brought peace and carried medicines to disaster zones. They've even been buses. Over 500,000 Series 3s were built, and over 70% of those are still on the road today. They were extensively exported and built under license abroad. Belgium, South Africa, even Australia and New Zealand. With a robust chassis and signature Land Rover engineering, the Type 3 also marked the first time that buyers could choose interior options, like seat box protectors and cubby boxes. That trend continued, and by 1982, Land Rover were offering the county-spec Type 3. Leisure drivers could choose from such luxuries as all-cloth seats, soundproofing and tinted glass. The trend was increasingly clear, and the
Нет.
future of the Land Rover was starting to take shape. If you squinted, you could already see the shape of the first sports utility vehicle, the Range Rover.
Это теперь необычно так длинные. На тачке.
In 400 meters, turn left.
И вот. Надо на забор ставить.
In 100 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
Along with the Range Rover, others would follow. Discovery, Defender, and the Freelander. Each a more sophisticated and enjoyable utility vehicle. But none of them were a replacement for the Type 3. They were a different kind of car. The Type 3 was arguably the first sports utility vehicle. An evolution of the design would lead ultimately to this. The Bowler Nemesis, an off-road racing vehicle that turned into a production SUV. The Nemesis EXR.
Вот на нем я гонял.
It sports a turbocharged 5-litre Land Rover Jaguar engine, crammed into a carbon fibre chassis with integral roll cage. It even has the grille, headlights and rear lights from a Range Rover.
Бля. Не могу рестарт нажать, да? Не работает моя мультиплеер, потому что нет, надо прокачивать была. Более-менее честно.
There are no compromises either. With a 0 to 60 time of an unreal 4.2 seconds, all-wheel drive, and the ability to corner near instantly, the Nemesis provides adrenaline and sheer terror in equal measure. This is an all-terrain supercar. That's the only fair description for this. But that's what you get when you build an SUV with Land Rover DNA. Hope you're enjoying yourself. I know I am. It's great to be able to just focus on telling the story while someone else handles the driving for once. Let's get to the next one. This time, it's Lotus.
Всегда супер легкий тачки. Потом быстрый. Так, я себе их представляю. Так, где можем срезать? Срезаем вот тут. А, тут легко.
Lotus Engineering Limited began as many stories in British engineering do. In an old barn. The first Lotus cars were offered as kits. You built them yourself. From 1962, they began to actually build the cars themselves. The Elan Sprint showed exactly what they intended to do. Designer Colin Chapman famously said, adding power makes you faster on the straights. Subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere. He knew what he was talking about.
In 100 meters, turn right. 100 meters, turn left.
Widely hailed as one of the greatest sports cars of the 1960s, the Elan would be closely studied and emulated, inspiring such masterpieces as the Mazda MX-5. The Elan has all the energy, style and enthusiasm you would expect. Bold, quick and fun. So much so that they put it in the name.
Очень такая Mazda, да, выглядит сейчас как Mazda. Так, наша задача.
The Elan Sprint was a financial as well as an engineering success for Lotus, validating their approach to design and resulting in a whole family of light, agile roadsters. Which brings us to this, the Lotus Exige. It's heavier than the Elan, admittedly, but it's faster. Much, much faster.
Ох, вот эта тачка красавица.
Touch the pedal.
12-й. Lotus XJS.
The Exige responds with instant, relentless acceleration, as you'd expect. With a naught.
Вот срез где? Прямо. Yeah.
To 60 time of 3.8 seconds and a top speed of
Какой это?
170 before upgrades and tuning, the Exige is uncompromising.
But I know they got us with me, keep my head inside that hook. All this money got me hooked. Models got these out here begging for the look. Nowadays, shorties out here paying for their looks.
Блин, мне нравится тем, что типа они берут старую
And there's
тачку.
no power steering, so you can really feel the road. A genuinely thrilling drive, and one that isn't afraid to demand you take it seriously.
400 meters, turn left. Turn left.
I can get back to the hood, take a trip back when I could. Don't get me misunderstood, I had to push. All I had to do was push.
Плохо.
All they talking about is us. Let them do the talking, I don't bother with it much. I might wake up in the morning to a Grammy winning brunch. I know the ones who got me in the butt. Fire keep on burning like a spray. People take away from me, don't get a record such. But I'm not the one to judge. I hate us only motivate to push me till I budge.
In 400 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
Social media turn into a drug. When I remember
Плохо. Я могу вообще прям влететь. До что?
back,
And with rumoured launches of 2 new cars in 2020, Lotus looks set to push the benchmark of the experienced sports car well into the next century.
Ну, просто быть быстрее. Можно было привязать чуть-чуть. По-моему, работает. Ну, такие задачи, где просто четко время. Причем не знаешь время. Мне не очень нравится. Опа. Ачивочка. Есть 100 старт. Там ачивочка была сделана, когда еще не было вот этой новой.
Done much rallying? That's a joke. We've all seen what you've been up to. We're doing the next bit on location. You'll see why when you get there.
Это как стена, другая часть. Так, что у нас там, пап? Куда идем? Просто прям. Понятно. Поймал? Нет, это неудачно. Кто-то мне писал, что писал. Во-во-во, заходим.
In 400 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
А, мимо. А, типа, сейчас я секунду отвлекусь. Так, значит, мне надо запарковаться.
In 100 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
Ой, какой вид.
Ford, that most American of cars. But the Ford Escort, oh, that's British. And more than that, the Escort would become for many synonymous with Group B. In the 70s, Ford had embraced that destiny so firmly that they'd begun their own championships to find new drivers. Drivers for cars like the RS 1800.
А, так это мой был Макларен.
This was a...
Так.
Car designed explicitly for rallying, with a powerful fuel-injected 1790cc Cosworth BDE engine.
Just watch me fake.
Я считаю, что это не читерство, это проблема у них, что они не могут. Да, не управляют сейчас.
Are you alright? Take a moment, then let's do that bit again.
Сначала? Первый раз я прям супер советую, да.
This was a car designed explicitly for rallying, with a powerful fuel-injected 1790cc Cosworth BDE engine.
Нет, надо было чуть. Надо не закруглять, а прям ехать.
The RS 1800 brought home 17 World Rally Championship victories for Ford.
Вот тут я собрал 3 звезды, наверное, да? И сейчас дадут новые машины, я думаю. Современные. Да.
So, of course, Ford set out to design a better one.
О,
The
я на эти
RS
сгоняю.
200 Evolution was their answer. A purpose-built rally car designed to do one thing: win Group B.
Самое.
With a 1.8 turbocharged Ford Cosworth BDT engine and all-wheel drive, the RS 200 had perhaps the best suspension platform of any car of its era. Fortunately, Ford built over 200 as part of the homologation requirements for Group B, so you can still find them, if
Yeah,
you're
baby.
lucky.
Потому что я умею обращаться к этой тачке. Она у меня есть. Так, дальше.
You know,
Oh.
I really like this car. Not that I'd want to drive it for too long. Squeeze yourself in there and let's see just how fast you can make it go. Which won't
Maybe
be too
38.
fast. But hey, I could be surprised.
38 называется, да? Пил по 50, это не знаю.
Peel P50 has the dubious honour of being the smallest production car in the world. A one-door microcar coupe, featuring a 42cc air-cooled engine capable of a heinous 38 miles an hour. And a handle, so you can pick it up and carry it with you when you get to work. And keep in mind that this is the production version. The prototype had the single wheel at the front. Why would you think that was a good idea? In 2010, though, production restarted at Sutton in Ashfield. So, if you'd like to own the modern incarnation of this, I suppose you can.
Я не знаю, как. ЛМ-02 там есть, о господи, это хорошая тачка. Ну, еще одни штанцы. Что может быть еще тоскливее. Ну, того Макларена... Это другой Макларен.
Hey there! How about a car with some actual legroom and some actual speed? This section's about what happened when McLaren decided to make a road car. You're going to enjoy this.
Самая классическая тачка практически.
The track and the road have very different requirements. For McLaren, that was a challenge they were more than willing to embrace. In 1988, they set out to create the finest sports car the world has ever seen.
S68?
By 1993, they had achieved their goal, and the honestly fantastic F1 was the result. 106 would be built across all variants, and it remains one of the very best road cars ever made. The F1 has no turbocharger. That would have compromised the driving experience, increased complexity, and resulted in turbo lag. The F1 is a naturally aspirated supercar, one of the fastest in the world, in fact. Everything about this car is innovative, from the carbon fiber monocoque to the central driver position. McLaren threw the book away when they designed the F1. Then they wrote a better one. The F1's monocoque chassis is incredibly lightweight, only 100 kilos all told, which posed a significant challenge because carbon fiber and fiberglass aren't great insulators. So, McLaren lined the entire engine compartment with gold. McLaren's racing heritage is so deeply ingrained in this machine that they took it to Le Mans in 1995 and faced off against purpose-built racing machines, and won.
Сейчас сину дадут, я уверен.
So, with something like the F1 to live up to, where do you go next? Well, you throw the book away again and write an even better one. The result is the McLaren P1, a hybrid electric sports car that stands head and shoulders above the F1.
Это не сильно, это...
The P1 GTR will
2013, да, P1.
will hit 60 miles an hour in 2.4 seconds. That's 0.7 seconds faster than the F1. That's an eternity for a supercar.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
The car's blistering performance is delivered by a twin-turbo V8, supplemented by a McLaren ECU electric motor and instant power assist system. And they do mean instant.
правее заходить.
That was not bad, but could we make it a little more
Надо
majestic?
разогнать. Лошар.
The P1 GTR will hit 60 miles an hour in 2.4 seconds. That's 0.7 seconds faster than the F1. That's an eternity for a supercar.
At the roundabout, take the third exit. Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Remember those problems with turbo lag? McLaren solved that with the hybrid drive. While the turbos build pressure, the electric motor drives the wheels. No turbo lag, just torque. And because it's a hybrid, it has an all-electric range. Running on batteries alone, that's 6.2 miles. A bit more if you're going downhill.
Очень хорошо.
I quite like sleeper cars. Did Alex ever tell you the story of what we got up to in Colorado? There was this sleeper car competition, you see. Let's just say no one was ready for the sunbeam. Lotus never quite let go of the upgrade game. So in addition...
Vauxhall Lotus Carlton. Так, какие у нас есть возможности? Никаких.
To building their own supercars, they upgraded cars from other marques too. The Lotus Carlton was one such aftermarket upgrade. Lotus took a respectable four-door Vauxhall saloon and turned it into a supercar. From the outside, there are a few signs that this is something special.
И нахер пойдет по дороге.
Wider wheel arches, that sort of thing. But under the bonnet, that's where the magic starts.
Нет, ошибка. Перекрутил.
Engine capacity was increased to 3.6 litres, and twin Garrett T25 turbochargers were added. The engine block was reinforced, and new crankshafts were forged by Opel and machined in Germany.
Ошибка. Да и что я никак не впишусь в повороте? Ну или прям поехали так.
At the roundabout, take the third exit.
The tyres were widened, and the tyre compound from the Lotus Esprit was used. To handle camber change issues, they put in the self-leveling suspension from the Opel Senator.
In 400 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
Only 950 of these custom gems were built, and they've become something of a modern classic.
И современный.
The Lotus Carlton was an example of how to turn a saloon into a supercar. But that's not the only thing Lotus got up to. In 1979, Chrysler approached Lotus to create a strict rally version of their Sunbeam three-door hatchback. Lotus, as you might imagine, rather enjoyed the challenge.
Эта тачка выглядит классно. Значит, задача. Talbolt Sunbeam Lotus.
Took the rear-wheel drive hatchback and changed everything that matters. They stiffened the suspension, improved the anti-roll bars, and widened the transmission tunnel. It almost makes you wonder if Lotus should do more conversions. It's a silly question, actually. Lotus should do more conversions. In fact, I'll call them right now.
Yeah, baby. Пойду поставлю яйца.
I speak indiscreet, cause talk is cheap. Then I get deep in the beat, think complete. Pull with the seat, never weak or obsolete. They never grow old techniques, become antiques. Better than something brand new, cause it's original. In the wild style I have much more value. Classical, too intelligent to be radical. Masterful, never irrelevant, mathematical. Here's some soothing souvenirs for all the years. You fought the sorts of thoughts and ideas. It's cool when you freak to the beat, but don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. I speak indiscreet, cause talk is cheap. Then I get deep in the beat, think complete. Pull with a Z, never weak or obsolete. They never grow old techniques, become antiques. Better than something brand new, cause it's original. In the wild style I have much more value. Classical, too intelligent to be radical. Masterful, never irrelevant, mathematical. Here's some soothing souvenirs for all the years you fought the sort of thoughts and ideas. It's cool when you freak to the beat, but don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. I speak indiscreet, cause talk is cheap. Then I get deep in the beat, think complete. Pull with a Z, never weak or obsolete. They never grow old techniques, become antiques. Better than something brand new, cause it's original. In the wild style I have much more value. Classical, too intelligent to be radical. Masterful, never irrelevant, mathematical. Here's some soothing souvenirs for all the years you fought the sort of thoughts and ideas. It's cool when you freak to the beat, but don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. I speak indiscreet, cause talk is cheap. Then I get deep in the beat, think complete. Pull with a Z, never weak or obsolete. They never grow old techniques, become antiques. Better than something brand new, cause it's original. In the wild style I have much more value. Classical, too intelligent to be radical. Masterful, never irrelevant, mathematical. Here's some soothing souvenirs for all the years you fought the sort of thoughts and ideas. It's cool when you freak to the beat.
А, выиграли звоночек сейчас, да?
I honestly think these might be some of the most beautiful cars in the world. And the story of how it came about is, well, really British. Get in the car and let's get this segment.
Магнус, как это называется? Слушай, это что-то супер. А, Джагуар, господи, позор какой мне. Так, едем прямо просто.
Jaguar is a bit of a favourite of mine. The company is almost 100 years old, and was originally founded to build sidecars for motorcycles. But this is the car that really set the bar, I think. The 1961 E-Type. When he saw it, Enzo Ferrari called it the most beautiful car in the world. High praise indeed. He wasn't alone in his admiration. Accolades have followed this car ever since. It's been in movies, comics, games, and TV shows. Unlike some later cars in the marque, it wasn't just looks though. The E-Type was light and fast. It would do 153 miles an hour and stopped on innovative four-wheel brakes that were better than anything Ferrari or Porsche or even Mercedes-Benz had. It was solid too, with a design based on the D-Type that won the 24 Hours of Le Mans 3 years in a row.
Так, D-Type. Какой Джигар D-Type. Лиман. И мне интересно, как он выглядел. А, да-да-да. Ну, очень известная машинка. Сейчас, секунду. Так, ждем 7 минут. Так.
At the roundabout, take the second exit. Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Anyone who owns an E-Type will tell you that the key to their reliability is to drive them regularly, as if you'd need the excuse. About 2,500 were built, and they're a common sight at auto shows, and surprisingly reasonably priced. All in all, an almost perfect Jaguar.
Теперь Perfect Jaguar, да? Будет.
The E-Type was the successor to the Le Mans winning D-Type. But what would that look like if Jaguar designed it today? In 2013, Jaguar answered that question with the F-Type Project 7, a spiritual successor to the E-Type, and designed from the ground up to be the purest, most enjoyable Jaguar yet. The car's heritage is proudly displayed in the gorgeous D-Type curves and the distinctive aero hunt behind the driving position. But like the E-Type, it's not just a pretty face.
Какие планы? Ехать прямо по трассе.
Powered by a 5-litre V8 supercharged engine. With a fully aluminium body, it's blisteringly fast. With a 0 to 60 speed of 3.8 seconds and a top speed of 186 miles an hour. A car as beautiful as this must surely have been a carefully authored design.
Oh, и там же комплектит, да?
It started as a sketch by designer Cesar Pieri, thrown together one Friday in his free time.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Jaguar's design director, Ian Callum, saw the sketch in a thumbnail on Cesar's computer during a meeting and asked him what it was. The rest is history. "250 Project 7s were built, as both a successor to the E-Type and as a celebration of Jaguar's victories at Le Mans. think I speak
Nah.
for all of us when I say thank heavens for Cesar's Friday afternoon doodle.
Детство сложно. С водой? Я вижу. Супервилл спин. По-моему, один еще остался у меня, наверное. Мини.
We're almost done, but we've saved the good stuff for last. A spot of rallying in the most British car of them all. Get in, strap in, and let's nail this one.
Мини Купер С.
There is one
Ох,
car.
ё. Сколько он? 804. Хороший.
Car built in Great Britain that is quite fairly considered one of the most influential cars of the century. It's a surprisingly
Ворот вообще не ходит.
spacious little city car with a side-mounted engine. It's an icon of popular culture. It's been built on every continent where there's a car factory. It's the Mini.
Так, что нам карта скажет вообще? Можно срезать? Вот здесь. Теперь же можно рискнуть?
The Mini Cooper S was built to be a performance machine with deeper engines, twin carburetors and front disc brakes. This scrappy little machine would go on to achieve more than 30 racing victories in the 1960s and the 1970s.
Почти.
That was spectacular. Take a breather and let's try again with less excitement. There is one car built in Great Britain that is quite fairly considered one of the most influential cars of the century. It's a surprisingly spacious little city car with a side-mounted engine. It's an icon of popular culture. It's been built on every continent where there's a car factory. It's the Mini. The Mini Cooper S was built to be a performance machine with deeper engines, twin carburetors and front disc brakes. This scrappy little machine would go on to achieve more than 30 racing victories in the 1960s and 1970s. A Mini Cooper S flying number 37 placed first at the 1964 Monte Carlo Rally. Driven by Paddy Hopkirk and Henry Liddon, this was the last time all British crew would win the event. But not the last time a Mini would. At Monte Carlo in 1966, Minis took the first, second and third positions. They were all disqualified because they had dimming headlamps, not because they were winning everything in sight. In 1999, the Car of the Century Award was presented
Левее.
to the most influential car of the 20th century. The Mini came second. It was beaten by the Model T Ford. That's fair, I suppose. .3 million Minis would be sold, making it the most popular British car.
Современный Мини Купер сейчас будет.
And then in
Wait.
2000, BMW resumed production of the Mini, breathing new life into the iconic mark.
Monster.
If the Mini of the 1960s had its sights set on the roads of Monte Carlo, the X-rayed Countryman has its eyes on something a little tougher.
Так, пойду заряжу яйца. Ого. И вернусь в 6 минут.
Sits in rough terrain of the Dakar for starters. A wit once said that the only thing mini in this monster was the pedal. That's rather than missing the point.
Да, проиграем.
We'll reset and take that section again. The deserts and rough terrain of the Dakar for starters. A wit once said that the only thing mini in this monster was the pedal. That's rather than missing the point, I think. The X-rayed Countryman is much, much bigger than the Mini Cooper. It has to be. A stage of the Dakar demands literally tons of gear. You could call it a tank. It does rather sound like one. X-Raid division set out to build this thing, they had one goal in mind: winning the Dakar. And they did, every year, from 2012 to 2015. In 100 meters, it's designed to be driven for 2 weeks over deserts and badlands, 5 kilometers above sea level. And it still handles like a hot hatch on a nice bit of dry ice. Owners come and go. The heritage of a car like the Mini is more than who owns the keys to the shop. I fully expect to see Mini's wings flying for another century. This is quite the story. Bentley at Le Mans in the 1930s. Gentleman racers and heroic driving. A personal hero of mine. Take good care of the cars, though. Both of them belong to me. Bentley. A company founded in 1919 in Cricklewood, North London, and purchased by Rolls-Royce in the 30s. A company synonymous with both racing and luxury. Perhaps the best example I know of those two extremes of British engineering. For almost a century, every Bentley was hand-built to exacting standards. So at the beginning of the 21st century, when Bentley revealed their first mass-produced car, there were a great many questions. The car was the Continental GT, an elegant grand tourer that combined a racetrack pedigree with exquisite style and all the power you could need. The move to mass production has done nothing to blunt the Bentley experience. The 2017 Continental Supersport is responsive, fast, and beautifully designed. brings together all-wheel drive, carbon fiber bonnet sides and side skirts to create the most powerful performance-focused car the company has ever built. But never forget, Bentley's pedigree is racing, and the Bentley Continental embraces that. In 2007, a largely standard Continental Speed GT broke Bugatti's record for the flying kilometre on the frozen Baltic Sea. And then in 2011, they broke their own record. 205 miles an hour, both ways, on ice. Even when building these gorgeous Grand Tourers, Bentley is driven to excellence. Today, Bentley means modern, peerless luxury and elegance. But that's far from the full story.
Сейчас едем на Васька, который там был. Да.
A century ago, Bentley meant something else entirely. It meant Le Mans. In 1930, eccentric race team owner Dorothy Paget financed a rather special Bentley at the Le Mans. It was a 4.5-litre supercharged masterpiece, driven by Sir Henry Bentley Boy Birkin. It posted the fastest time on the day, but it failed to finish. But what a race it was! Sir Henry's courageous driving forced Rudolf Caracciolla's 7-litre Mercedes out of the race at the cost of his own victory. But in doing so, he ensured that the Bentley Sixes would take the victory.
Bentley 4 литра.
Sir Henry knew he didn't have anything to prove. In 1929, the adventurer Mrs. Mary Victor Bruce had already driven the resolutely modern 4.5-litre Bentley at Montlhéry, setting distance, speed and endurance records. The Bentley's performance so annoyed Ettore Bugatti that he called it the world's fastest lorry. When the blower finally went on auction in 2012, it fetched more than enough to get yourself a Veyron and a racing truck.
Like I told them, can't make a film about car culture around here without you in it, can they? I'll let you know if they need you back.
You know, I really like this car. Not that I'd want to drive it for too long. Squeeze yourself in there and let's see just how fast you can make it go. Which won't be too fast. But hey, I could be surprised. The Peel P50 has the dubious honour of being the smallest production car in the world. A one-door microcar coupe, featuring a 42cc air-cooled engine capable of a heinous 38 miles an hour. and a handle so you can pick it up and carry it with you when you get to work. And keep in mind that this is the production version. The prototype had the single wheel at the front. Why would you think that was a good idea?
Нет, 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 так замечательно.
Turn around
Значит,
when it is
сначала
safe to do so.
20 направо ехать, разворачиваться, ехать обратно. Сейчас он выболтать. Да,
The Peel P50 has the dubious honour of being the smallest production car in the world. A one-door microcar coupe, featuring a 42cc air-cooled engine capable of a heinous 38 miles an hour. And a handle so you can pick it up and carry it with you when you get to work. It was billed as being able to fit a single driver with a bag of shopping. And it does, if neither are particularly large. And keep in mind that this is the production version. The prototype had the single wheel at the front. Why would you think that was a good idea? In 2010, though, production restarted at Sutton in Ashfield. So, if you'd like to own the modern incarnation of this, I suppose you can.
Так, ой, у меня срочно накопился. О, хорошо. Сейчас есть что-нибудь не делают? Мне не хватает, да, все равно? Так, значит, мне надо прийти минут 37.
Hope you're enjoying yourself. I know I am. It's great to be able to just focus on telling the story while someone else handles the driving for once. Let's get to the next one. This time, it's Lotus.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Lotus Engineering Limited began as many stories in British engineering do, in an old barn. The first Lotus cars were offered as kits. You built them yourself. From 1962, they began to actually build the cars themselves. The Elan Sprint showed exactly what they intended to do. Designer Colin Chapman famously said, "Adding power makes you faster on the straights. Subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere." He knew what he was talking about.
In 100 meters, turn right. In 100 meters, turn left.
Widely hailed as one of the greatest sports cars of the 1960s, the Elan would be closely studied and emulated, inspiring such masterpieces as the Mazda MX-5. The Elan has all the energy, style and enthusiasm you would expect. Bold, quick and fun. So much so that they put it in the name.
Минут 37.
The Elan Sprint was a financial as well as an engineering success for Lotus, validating their approach to design and resulting in a whole family of light, agile roadsters. Which brings us to this, the Lotus Exige. It's heavier than the Elan, admittedly, but it's faster. Much, much faster. Touch the pedal, the Exige responds with instant, relentless acceleration.
2:10, а нам надо минута 37. Значит, минута 40-30. Как остается 33 секунды. Да. Я проиграл.
As you'd expect. With a 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds and a top speed of 170 before upgrades and tuning, the Exige is uncompromising.
But I know they got us with me, keep my head inside that book. Yeah, all this money got me hooked. Models got these out here begging for the look. Nowadays, shorties out here paying for their looks. Steady screaming how they only want a man that can cook.
And there's no power steering, so you can really feel the road. A genuinely thrilling drive, and one that isn't afraid to demand you take it seriously.
400 meters. Turn left. Turn left.
Talking about is us. Let them do the talking, I don't bother with it. Would grab me when it crunch. When I know the ones who got me in the clutch. When I fall, they hit the ground, they hold me like a crutch. I just pray this fire keep on burning like a I pray he keep the fake away from me, don't interact with such. But I'm not the one to judge. I hate us only motivated.
In 400 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
And with rumoured launches of 2 new cars in 2020, Lotus looks set to push the benchmark of the experienced sports car well into the next century.
Первый гонки, второй гонки считается. Первый ты ужасно прошел. Ну ладно. Сегодня либо хватит, либо я пойду поем, и потом еще продолжим. Пока-пока.